So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today, we'll be discussing on the topic of competing on experience, strategies for building a delightful online shopping experience that leads to higher conversion rates, essentially, and higher customer retention rate. Right. So, a hassle-free buying experience is why people primarily buy online today. But building this is no easy feat. What is required today is a nuanced approach that ties every piece together neatly. From the online purchase assistant that customers get to the quality of logistics operations backing e-commerce sales, the degree of delight post-purchase experience builds, every single element is of critical importance in the maximization of your e-commerce revenue. Today, leveraging smart fulfillment and shipping for faster deliveries and better operational visibility, and designing a post-purchase experience for maximum retention and loyalty. And finally, in the last 10 to 15 minutes, we'll have a Q&A session. As we discuss, you can share your questions in the Q&A box, and at the end of the session, we'll take it up to the speakers. Today, we have three experts joining us. We have Priya Ranjan, who is the co-founder and CEO of ShopFlow, which aims to supercharge conversions for e-commerce websites at the checkout with improving user experience, helping build stronger intent and trust during the purchase. Ultimately, the one-click solution helps to reduce abandoned carts and increase sales for merchants. Prior to ShopFlow, Priya worked as an investor at Elevation Capital, focusing on early and growth stage investing in consumer brands, mobility, and logistics startups. He started his career as a business analyst at McKinsey & Company, focusing on strategy formulation and implementation for clients in the mining, automobile, and private equity industries. He's an alumnus of IIT Madras, having completed both his BTech and MTech in mechanical engineering with a specialization in product design. Our next speaker is Aniket Bajpai. Aniket is the co-founder and head of growth at LimeChat. He's an e-commerce expert, having worked with 180 plus leading brands across the globe to reduce their CAC, which is customer acquisition cost, and boost retention rates. Aniket is also a 2x entrepreneur with a successful exit from a SaaS startup previously. He's an angel investor, having invested in several e-commerce SaaS startups. Our third speaker for the day is Harsh Vaidya. Harsh is the co-founder and CEO of WhereIQ, which has a vision to offer Amazon Prime logistics for e-commerce companies in India through its full stack fulfillment and shipping platform. Backed by Y Combinator, WhereIQ is default fulfillment platform for 300 plus brands across categories. In his previous role, he looked into product strategy for Pitney Bowes, which is a global e-commerce logistics company that provides technology and services to 1 million plus SMBs and 90% of the Fortune 500 companies. There, he built deep experience in the US e-commerce and logistics ecosystem. Graduated with a bachelor's in engineering from National Institute of Technology, Harsh started his career with Capillary Technologies, a PE-funded retail tech startup, and later moved to Zinnov, a boutique management consulting firm where he consulted US-based large tech in APAC market entry and expansion strategies. So with this, I'd like to extend a note of thanks to the speakers for joining us today. With this, we'll be diving into the first part of our discussion, which is building a pre-purchase experience. Now, turning website visitors into customers and ensuring low cart abandonment are two of the biggest problems in the pre-purchase phase. Hence, it is important to build a pre-purchase experience that delivers a high conversion rate. There are three critical elements to it: ensuring the prospect gets all the assistance they need with regards to the product before they make the purchase, delivering a sense of trust to the customer so that they are comfortable purchasing your product from your brand, facilitating a seamless and super fast checkout process to avoid any leakages or drops in this critical stage of the process. So, Priya, starting off with the checkout experience, what do you think are the biggest problems currently that the brands are facing, and how can they go about delivering a super fast and seamless checkout experience that at the end of the day boosts the online conversion rates, given this particular stage of the process is quite critical, and hence companies would need to avoid leakages here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Aman, for setting context, and I think you've raised a lot of interesting points around how the website experience has become critical for merchants even more today as acquisition is becoming more and more expensive. I think I'll come to the problems with the journey of our company itself and how we even arrived at this problem statement. After speaking with close to 100 brands who are running their own stores, we realized that the website in itself is a fairly leaky funnel. What was baffling to us was that even after, let's say, a customer sees an ad and comes to the store, browses around, and adds products to the cart, out of 100 people, only 30 were actually buying. So 70% of the people who almost showed the intent to buy a product do not end up purchasing. And how many times would that have happened to you in an offline store? Probably never, right? Like you reach a checkout counter and don't end up buying. So that made us think that, okay, this just seems absurd. Like, why would so many people be dropping off at just the last step of the purchase? And then we just started to experience the website and see that the checkout process was just too long, right? Like there were 6 to 7 steps, there were redirections happening. Customers would have to go back into the store to realize, oh, there was a coupon code that I forgot about totally. And all of this, and especially if you think about and sort of try and empathize with the customer, they might be browsing through social media and they arrived here. So several times the intent is also not that high. So we realized that there are 2-3 key problem areas in the overall checkout process that we are trying to address as well. The first is friction, right? Like I talked about steps and redirections, and the friction, especially when you are slightly low intent, is a big killer on conversions. And as a consumer, I don't care whether you as a merchant are running a website on Shopify or wherever. I'm benchmarking you against the best in the industry. I'm probably checking out on a Swiggy or a Zomato every single day. And I expect the same experience from you. And that's one place where a lot of brands lack control as well as ability to deliver that experience on their own. The second is intent itself, right? Like if the customer's intent is low, and the process of checkout will never be sort of amazing, right? Like filling forms is not something that anyone would enjoy. So building intent in that checkout process was also missing. That the ability of merchants to play around with that experience was severely limited by the platforms that they were working with or the internal tech bandwidth that was available to them. And the third big lever was analytics, right? Like if I see this broad number that only 25% of people who are coming to the checkout screens are converting, I don't really know what to do about it. So having a very detailed view of what is going wrong within the overall funnel is super important to be able to find that needle in the haystack and be able to iterate on sort of experiences, messaging, as well as, let's say, discounting levers to increase conversion. And ultimately, for the consumer, the problem statement here is that, hey, I don't want the hassle of going through multiple steps and sort of having to use my memory and brain to go through this experience. And as a merchant, the problem was that I'm not a technical organization myself, and the platform's not allowing me to do much. And we found a gap that, hey, as a tech company, we can probably provide merchant the flexibility, control, and analytical visibility that they require, and the end consumer the experience that they would see on a Swiggy or a Zomato. And that's what Shopflow is all about, right? So that's what we are trying to do. In fact, once we started to speak with our customers, we realized that actually this real estate is very interesting because literally, if you look at the overall checkout funnel, or rather the overall website journey, this is the first time the customer reveals who they are and their identity. This is also a customer who's probably the highest intent in the overall funnel, right? So bottom of the funnel optimization makes a lot of sense. And specifically in India, discounts is something that probably converts people more than anything else. And it is a good way to solve for that intent problem that we discussed. So we started going deeper into it and figured out that there's a lot more that you can do with discounts. And honestly, I wouldn't take credit of the things that we've built. In fact, I'll show you a couple of things sharing my screen. These are things and tricks that are out there used by marketplaces on day-to-day basis. We are just bringing that to a D2C brand in a plug-and-play manner. To give you an example, let me just walk you through a couple of slides. So right now, if you look at any Shopify checkout, you would have a discount code box, and that's it. That's the discounting experience, right? And then everything else is a workaround. So we've created this sort of an experience where you almost get like a Swiggy type of a checkout experience, right? And obviously, you're saving the customers a memory test. But an interesting thing that you can do is show coupons that become available after you reach a certain target. So this is playing with consumer psychology in order to sort of nudge them towards the goal that you want. Uh, Beyond that, we also realize that in a lot of categories, um, the merchant is always trying to get the customer to obviously buy more, but also get them to try a few new products that they have launched. Both of these objectives can be met together if I create flows again that you would have seen in marketplaces that, hey, get to 1,000 order value and I'll give you the upcycled lace crunchies for free, right? And this is beautiful because while this particular product I'm showing as 500, at high gross margins, it would have cost me only 100 rupees or even less. But the customer is perceiving a value of 500. They're trying out this product and maybe they'll come back and buy more from my brand. So that's another, again, these are insights that we receive from merchants and are implementing on our product. Similarly, discounting experiences were being used to deliver things like loyalty, influencer marketing attribution. But when any store sale was running, then all of these levers were going off for a toss. So we have created an ability to stack discounts and you have full control over how you want to create this experience, which makes that repeat customer or that customer who came in through a referral feel special the way that you intended to be, rather than sort of having to choose between a store discount and their discount, right? And ultimately, one of the biggest problem today is that, hey, I have COD orders, and I think Harsh is doing a really good job in solving for sort of faster deliveries and reducing RTOs. One way to reduce RTOs, we feel, is to increase the share of prepaid orders itself, right? And whenever you complete a checkout on Shopflow, if you have turned on this feature, you'll just get a nudge on the thank you page to convert that order to prepaid. Then and there, you can add sort of an offer, you can add sort of a timeline to it, etc. So these are examples of things that we are learning from merchants and are implementing directly on the experience that you're providing. So that's how we are broadly thinking about solving the problem that is out there. I'm happy to go deeper into any specific aspect as well. Aman, you're on mute.
Sure. Thanks for pointing that out. Thanks for your remarks and comments, Priya, on that. However, I'd also like to get comments from Harsh and Aniket if there are any as an appendix to what Priya said.
No, definitely. Priya shared a lot of interesting insights on optimizing the checkout experience, and the main the obviously brands are spending so much money just to get a person to their website and then to take them to the checkout. So it doesn't make sense having a broken experience at that stage, right? And allowing people to drop off there, or just because they are not able to get the best experience, or they're not able to get the best discounts easily, or any of this, right? So I think that is definitely one of the biggest levers for a brand to immediately make a dent in their customer acquisition costs and in their website conversion rates.
Apart from that, Aniket, I'd also wanted to understand what kind of support do customers usually need, before making the purchase, and how can a better level of support be given, using more advanced technologies and methodologies available today, such as AI/ML. Could you throw some light on that?
Awesome. Yeah, definitely would love to share my insights on that. So, when we started, we also just talked to a lot of brands, 100+ brands and their consumers, just to understand why is it that they end up on a website, browse through a lot of products, but still don't convert, right? What is the biggest reasons for people to drop off, right? So that is where we started, and when we went deep into it, there were 2 or 3 major kinds of reasons, 2 kinds of customers which we identified who were dropping off. One were the really high intent buyers who were sure that they wanted to buy this product, but because of their attention span, or because of too many steps, or because of it being too hard for them to actually make that purchase, they just ended up dropping off. They did not actually go and spend their money at the store, right? And this is one of the biggest loss to a brand. These are the people that Priya also mentioned, people who in fact add things to their cart, even reach the checkout stage. Many of them even put in their numbers and their addresses, but they don't do the final step of payment just because it is too hard to do it. These can either be new customers or existing customers, right? And then there were the second kind of people who were 90% convinced that they wanted to buy, but they just had one question remaining in their head, and that is what was really stopping them from buying, right? So these were the two major classes of people, right, which we realized were the biggest losses for a brand, right, which were the lowest hanging fruits for brands to make a delta in their conversion rate and in their customer acquisition costs. And I'll just go in depth into figuring out, into talking about the various strategies which top brands are using, which we realized working with all of these brands like Wow Skin Science and Caffeine and even Shoes, and what is it that they do to actually optimize for both of these kind of customers, right? So the first kind of customer is the person who is a very high intent user, who has seen several ads, who has come to your website many times. Some of them are even your existing customers, right? These are people who end up adding things to the cart, but they drop off at any part of the checkout, which so this can be after adding things to the cart, after putting in their name and their phone number, or after maybe even putting in their address, right? Now the reason why they drop off is one big reason is because, as Priya mentioned, right, there are not enough nudges for them to buy. It is not easy enough for them to buy. They want to apply discounts. They don't want to put in so many steps, right, of actually entering all of this information and then kind of completing their purchase. They saw an ad, they saw something attractive, and they just wanted it right away. They did not want to do an effort of several minutes and 10 plus clicks just to get something there. And what we realized was that because people have attention spans, right? However much we optimize this funnel on the website, there will always be people who will end up dropping off. So one way in which we can help is helping re-engage all of these users who are dropping off at the final step of the funnel. Now, if you think of a person who has dropped off, right, and who has left some kind of information with you, how do you re-engage that person, right? So there can be a person. Let us talk about the easiest person, someone who has added things to cart, who has put in their name and their phone number, and who has even left their address, right? We thought about it with brands, that what is the easiest way to re-engage this person. Now, as a consumer, if you think about it, the channel which you use the most in your everyday life is WhatsApp, right? And if it was possible to reach out to that person on the highest engagement medium, that is WhatsApp, and give them all the nudges that are required for them to buy, like send them an offer which will expire in 2 hours, send them a discount, send them the best discount which they have for their card, right? So you know their card, you know their phone number, you can actually figure out. You can actually first of all nudge them several times on that phone number, and you can figure out the best discount on their card, right? And that is where integrations with Shopify and apps like Shopflow as well help in figuring out that discount and figuring out those nudges. So you can just nudge those people and just make it very, very easy to come back and buy. And the users who are really high intent, right, they actually want to buy. So we have what we have seen is 10 to 15% of people who actually get these nudges at the final stage, right, they end up and convert. And the way we make it very easy for them to convert is we close the final step of checkout on WhatsApp itself. Like, we send a nudge on WhatsApp, we don't give them a link where they have to go to a website, they have to wait for things to load again, they have to again go to the payment, right? We show them their card, we show them their discount, they just have to click, yeah, I want this right away, and they go to the payment page and they can buy it right away. So this addresses the people who have given you their card and their phone number, right? Now, what about people who are dropping off at the card stage itself, like people who have added things to the cart, they have gone to the checkout, but they have not even entered their phone number. What we realized was, in this also there are actually some very high intent users whose details you already have. And these are your existing customers. So there are people who have bought from you already, who have created an account with you, who have given you their phone number previously, right? And their and other details as well. So people who have logged in and who have come, who have basically given you their phone number previously, and they have come back and added things to your cart, right? For these people also, you have an open communication channel with them. You can again start a nudge with them on WhatsApp right from when they add things to your cart and drop off, right? Again, you can give them a good discount. You can send that nudge on WhatsApp several times, and you can make it very easy for them to buy right away. And what this helps is with all the people who are leaking at the cart and at the checkout part of the funnel, right? Which is which is always going to happen. You can continuously re-engage and try to capture at least those people who had the most intent, who actually wanted to buy but just didn't buy because it was very hard, or because they got distracted by something else, right? Or because they had a short attention span. You can just re-engage them and get them back, and that leads to as much as a 10% delta on the overall conversion. So that was the first thing that we helped with. And that is what became our overall theme and our overall story of how can we use a personalized engagement channel, something like WhatsApp, to engage people throughout the buying journey and to actually make a delta in the conversion rate and in the overall customer acquisition cost. So once we start, um, um, they just have one question in their head, that can they return this if they bought this, right? Or like, does the brand accept a COD payment? And if you just answer this question right away, very easily, that customer is going to buy it right away. Right? That customer is completely convinced. They're 90% convinced to buy, except for this one question in their head. Right? Now, what happens is, these are customers who are on a product description page, and that page is so long that you can scroll for it 4 to 5 times, and you'll keep on seeing things. You'll keep on seeing reviews, recommendations, and all kinds of stuff over there. And it's just very hard to figure out whether this brand just accepts COD or what is the return policy, right? And however much information you put on that page, right, it does not make it easy for the customer to get their answer, because they have to go and put the effort and find it. And as we all know, we are all customers, right? We don't go and we don't like to spend our free time scrolling product description pages. So what we have seen is a lot of high intent users over there, if they get a pop-up, let us say a WhatsApp pop-up asking them that, do you have a question for us? Can we help you in your buying journey? Basically, like when you go to a store and you get a personal assistant come to you and ask that, how can I help you, right? Or do you need any help buying? What happens is, around 3 to 4% of the entire visitors of that page, which are roughly like 30 to 40% of your entire high intent audience, those actually end up coming to you on WhatsApp and asking that question. So they just come, they click on that WhatsApp pop-up, they just ask whatever question is in their head. And if you are able to answer it right there, right, and make it very easy for them to check out, a lot of people actually like that experience. And again, like 5 to 10% more people end up buying from you, because you have made it easy for them to ask your question, to get a right reassurance, and to buy finally. And the other thing is, even if they don't buy, right, you have collected that information from them. You have collected their WhatsApp number, which opens up a communication channel, a very personal communication channel, where you can keep on engaging with them over time and get more people to be engaged and buy eventually from your brand. So effectively, what has happened is, by leveraging WhatsApp, right, at the product description page, at the cart drop-offs, and at the final checkout abandonments, right, you can leverage WhatsApp to open up a personalized communication with these users and actually talk to them, understand their problems, and make it very easy for them to buy. And overall, this helps increase the final conversion for a brand between 10 to 20% easily. We have seen this across 200 plus brands, or 200 plus of the leading brands now.
Right, right, right. That was really insightful, Aniket. Thanks for sharing that. But this brings up an interesting question in my mind. Before even they reach the purchase stage, wherein we can implement these strategies in order to boost the conversion rate. it is very important for brands to build a sense of credibility and trust, right? So especially when they are about to check out, right? When they're viewing the product and its details, right? So Harsh, I just wanted to understand. There's this thing called there are these things called trust badges, and these definitely do help in kind of boosting the overall credibility and trust that the brand exudes when to its customers, right, to its prospects. So where and how do you think trust badges exactly factor in the pre-purchase phase of the buying journey, and how helpful can they be?
Yeah, sure. So thanks everyone. So I can touch upon that, but essentially what Priya and Aniket essentially touched upon are some of these building blocks of building a D2C brand, where somebody is landing upon your product page and doing a transaction. What are the things that you can do to increase that conversion rate? A lot of these things and tools are something marketplace have been doing for years, and they're perfected over a period of time. So even as a company, we are not reinventing the wheel, as Priya mentioned about that. There are some fundamentals which are already getting executed. So one of the things that the biggest thing, at least from what I feel, is as an end consumer, when I go to Amazon, which is a gold standard, I see a Prime badge, which is a very trust badge for me that, okay, if I place an order today, in next 2 hours, I should expect that parcel to receive tomorrow, 48 hours, or whatever the timelines are. That is something I can trust. And that becomes something more important when I'm going to buy from a brand for the very first time. And this is a direct to consumer standalone website. It is not a Flipkart or Amazon. So I'm also taking a leap of faith. So there's always something behind the decision for an end consumer, that should I buy from here or should I buy it from Amazon? And they will also probably have alternate tab of Amazon open up to the next of the page, where they will look up the product. It looks interesting. Let me see at what price is it on Amazon, and when can I see it? So pricing is something direct to consumer brands can make it competitive. Speed is something where I feel that's also like a hygiene. When you walk into any store, you need to have a good lighting. You need to have a store manager who talks nicely. The products needs to be showcased in a very nice fashion. So these are like very basic hygiene blocks if you think from a offline store concept. Similarly, there are some basic hygienes that needs to be implemented when you walk into any online store. And I think the shipping, which is the how soon a parcel can I get, and the timeline that you're committing, is it something I can trust upon? That's like one fundamental piece which as a company we are looking to solve. I can quickly share my screen and talk about how do we do that. So let me know when my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, it's visible.
So we have created an equivalent of Prime like trust badge onto our platform. So you just land into the product page, you see this badge next to it, you put in a pin code, and it tells you that place your order in 2 hours, 3 hours, and get it delivered based on the placement of the inventory in the network. So suppose the stock is also in Mumbai and I'm also based in Mumbai, probably it'll show me same day, next day delivery options available to me. And it should have a very high confidence rate. So if I'm committing next day and delivering 4 days, then it adds up to more escalation and operational pressure. So what we do as a company, there are two pieces of it. One is the placement of inventory. So as a platform, we know that this SKU, where does it lie in the network? What is the placement of the inventory? If it is in a multiple warehouses, then it will identify which is the nearest warehouse where the location of inventory must happen. And then there are a bunch of courier partners that you can choose from. And we typically allocate it to the faster option where the bias is. So, and we figure out their on-time delivery percentages, and we figure out if there are any local disruptions, and so which can create delays in that. Factor that and give a fairly accurate estimation of the timeline, which leads to fairly high conversion. So if you look at the Amazon Prime's benchmark, what they publicly quote is that a landing page without a Prime badge and with a Prime badge, the conversions are as high as 20 to 30%. And in our base, we have also offered this as like a pro bono, it's like an integrated platform service only, that you use our platform and we can offer that to you. With Shopify, it's like a free app on Shopify App Store. You can just put in your credentials and make it live. With WooCommerce and other D2C stacks also, these are open APIs, which we can make it live. So that is like one piece which we make it available. And the conversation is primarily onto the pre-checkout experience part of it, where we have to do a better job. And then there are certain other pieces of it where, say, we also run a same-day delivery service. Now, the problem with same-day delivery service is that everyone wants it, but nobody wants to pay for it. So if your brand category feel that say you are FMCG brand, or or your product category makes sense to be delivered same day, say a pet food where people just run out of it and they have to do an impulse purchase. And so there is also an option where through our plugin you can enable expedited delivery, say for a nominal fee, if you want the customer to pay for the premium experience. So next day delivery does not come with an added fee, because it goes through a traditional logistics route and it optimizes for it. Same day delivery tends to be like a point-to-point delivery. So over here, you have an option, say at the checkout, somebody's asking for expedited delivery. You can say 50 rupees, 100 rupees, or whatever. So you can at least carry it onto the checkout. So this is something where we have also seen, while what Priya talks about one-click checkout and a pretty optimum experience into that, no hurdle, not filling up the form, or what Aniket talks about, that there is sometimes a decision paralysis. You have five different skin types, and everyone talks about their own value, and you're paralyzed and you don't make a decision on how some of these smarter tools can assist you on all of that. Similarly, if you are through with that, and you also see the trust that, okay, I see the same product on the website and also on Amazon. Shipping speed is also similar. And on direct to consumer, I see a better value of it. Then probably as an end customer, I'm also willing to take a leap of faith on that. So this is like one piece, at least on the Prime badges, that I wanted to touch upon before we move on to the other piece of the agenda.
Thanks, Harsh, for your insights. It was definitely helpful when you talked about, how these trust badges can enable a sense of credibility for brands towards their prospects and help with conversions. But once the purchase is made, in the next stage of the buyer's journey, quick delivery of the product becomes super important, right? Delays here erode the trust of the customer and increase the chance of them losing, chance that brands have of losing these customers as repeat buyers. There are certain critical aspects that brands need to focus on to ensure that they deliver the products to customers as fast as possible. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, Harsh, on this. If you could throw some light on it.
Yeah, so as you pointed, Aman, I think the business case for D2C brands typically builds on the repeat purchases, because the first transaction that you do, it does not even cover the cost of acquisition given the crazy numbers there. So it all narrows about the first experience of transaction that happens onto the platform and how delightful it can be. So if I have a great checkout, I have like assisted buying, and they're like smart tools helping me pass through the edge. But if we screw up on the shipping and there was no query support and everything, then I would rather tilt to Amazon that, okay, product was nice, but I had a horrible first experience and I have to solve for that. And then eventually I migrate out of the D2C is where we felt while also building up the VeriQ company. I think the interactions that we did, and also in our 3 years of journey, that's like one recurring problem statement that we came across, that D2C brands for a lot of the companies tend to be like a discovery platform, that people discovered them on Instagram, liked the product, and then eventually bought it on Amazon. So plugging that experience gap, typically, at least from as a company, speed becomes like the critical mission for us. So the fundamentally first thing that we do is even before a parcel is shipped from the warehouse, the battle is won in right planning of inventory. So if you have a stock kept in south of India and your orders are primarily coming from east and northeast, for all that chunk of orders falling in there is no way you can have like faster shipping at the cost that works out in your brand's case. And then for that cohort of customers, if you compare their KPIs with the cohort of customers who are getting their parcels delivered within 48 hours, you will see distinct behavior of repeat purchase, completely distinct. You will see lower returns rate, lower cancellations. So it becomes like a very basic fundamental hygiene that needs to be executed. And again, this is not something a unique idea that Verizon is put together. When Amazon launched in India in 2013, the very first thing that they did is they built up a large network of fulfillment centers across the demand centers and built up this whole platform which helps with the right placement of inventory. So just having multiple warehouses also we've seen does not solve the problem for biggest of the companies we spoke to. We spoke to one of the large majors. They had like 7 warehouses pan India, but still some of their key KPIs on supply chain was not optimal because you also have a wide range of SKUs. Now you cannot replicate it everywhere. So you cannot multiply it say 4 times or 5 times. So you need to have very accurate insight by SKU level for the next 7 to 10 days. What SKU is going to sell where, what should be the right placement of inventory, and that's like pretty ongoing. It's a pretty solid data science and machine learning problem that we like to take a shot at, and we also have a tool that we work upon that. But yeah, the first part of the problem is to have the right placement of inventory, and that is when you can showcase those fast shipping badges for predominant pin code. So the screen that I was showcasing you, I chose a Bangalore pin code and it showed me 48-hour delivery. Now, suppose the end customer is somewhere in Bihar or a town in MP. The timelines would be probably much elongated. So that's the game, and that's where the new demand centers and are rising. So just having warehouses will not solve. It's also the insight on where the demand is going to come from, and the placement where we have a tool called Inventory Logic, where it's a SaaS tool, helps with the planning placement of inventory. And then from there on, it's the physical operation, getting it out of the warehouse at the right time, and choice of the right courier partners whose SLAs are going to keep on varying with timeline based on the pin codes. And there's not going to be one company which is going to solve your pan India problem. So you have to work with national, regional, hyper local. Keep on monitoring KPIs and assigning it to them, and have very strong SLA checks with them. So that's the general a mix of tech and ops kind of working together is how we are looking to solve for that.
Right. Aniket, Priya, having been in the e-commerce ecosystem for years now, do you have any comments to add to what the insights Harsh has shared?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, not just in the sense of being in the e-commerce ecosystem as a consumer, it's also I can directly relate to that. Like, if you are able to become a part of this club, right, of like Amazon Prime, or where and in that club where you can have these kind of special privileges where you're getting same day delivery, right? It just makes a lot of sense as a customer. Also, like if you are trusting your money with a new brand, something you just saw on Instagram, whom you have not heard about before, you're taking a chance, right? And if and that is the first impression which that brand can create. And what I have seen in terms of all the major e-commerce brands that have developed in India, right, over the past 3-4 years, people like Man Matters, Kapiva, Mamaearth, Wow Skin Science, right? They have just been consistent across the board. And in that is in terms of marketing, it starts in the marketing, in the website experience, during checkout, but then finally, how do you kind of make sure that the customer gets an experience even after they have bought, right? How long does it take for that order to reach the customer's house? How much transparency do you create at that place, right? If there is an issue there in terms of delay or in terms of some damage, right? How do you deal with that? So just being very consistent with that, actually standing for something and then doing it repeatedly and consistently, day after day and month after month, right? That cements that brand's position in the customer's mind, and that is what is the key. What I have realized to building a strong brand, not just selling products online, right? But actually building a brand which customers associate with, and unlocking that next level of retention. Then, like having a loyal fan following who are coming back and buying your products again and again, and in fact buying all the new things also which you release, right? So what Harsh was talking about, being able to consistently deliver your stuff at in the right timeline and giving a very good experience for that, right? Like obviously he's an expert in making in understanding how it happens. like having those and having that network of warehouses, having that combination of tech and ops, right? But finally achieving that outcome, right? That is one of the most major major ways of actually building that brand, like snowballing all of your customers that you have into a huge brand presence, basically.
Yeah, in fact, actually, Aman, I had a question for Aniket. He had said something very interesting about customers needing assistance, and all of us, like when we go to a store, we have someone or the other there, and that is missing when you're online. I was curious, what type of questions do people ask in general, right? And where do you see which categories, etc., do you see this to be the most?
Oh, great question. So, cool. I think the easiest analogy for that is actually thinking about our own offline experiences, right?
Yeah.
In fact, many of us are not typical e-commerce buyers. That is what I have realized, because we don't have like 20 creams lying in our bathrooms, right? I personally just have one soap and one shampoo. But what I have realized is what we can do is just observe the people who are actually going into a beauty store, right? And just seeing what kind of things they ask, and they actually really care about the fact that there is a beauty assistant there. Like there is someone whom you can just go and, like, it doesn't even have to be a logical question in that sense, right? It can just be that, will this cream actually brighten my skin? And if that guy says yes, they are super confident, they want to go ahead and buy it, right? In case of wellness, so it is even more profound, because there you're dealing with much more critical issues like skin issues or hair fall issues or sexual wellness issues, right? And that is there are even more personalized questions. And if you are able to create confidence there, if you are able to answer them effectively, the customer actually treats that as a doctor's advice, right? Like, oh, I will take this pill and it will solve my hair fall issues, it will solve my weight issues. And they take it at that level of confidence. Just saying the same thing, right, which is written on the website on a personalized channel, like a phone call or a one-on-one interaction or on WhatsApp, right? It just creates 10x that level of impact and confidence, which actually creates that person into a high intent buyer. In terms of other categories, there again the questions vary a lot across categories. I can go in depth. For example, in apparel, people ask. There are three kinds of questions broadly. There are some questions which are general, which we call general FAQs across brands. Like what is your return policy? Or like, do you have an offline store? Do you accept COD? Right? How long does it take for the order to reach me? What kind of discounts do you have? Right? So those are general questions. There are some brand related questions, right, about the brand credibility itself. And then there are finally product related questions, like, for example, what are the ingredients in this product, right? Does it have any side effects? Is it safe to use? How long will I see results? Many times the answers to this are already present on the website, but
Yeah.
just answering them, the reason why the customer is asking that question is either because they are not confident after reading it, or they have not even put the effort to go through all that content and read it, right? They are lazy, or they have a small attention span, they want that answer instantly. In apparel, in most of the cases we have seen, people do not come asking for recommendations. People actually do that research on their own on the website, but finally when making that decision, they actually come to get that confirmation and get that confidence. In apparel or in the houseware category, that is where they come with, they see an ad for a collection, right? Or they see a campaign for a collection, and then that is where they come for recommendations that show me some black sarees, let us say, right? Or like, after you have shown them a shirt, can is there a bottom which you have, which matches with that top, right? Those kind of questions. So in apparel, people ask on the discovery stage itself, but most of the other categories is where the focus is on just building confidence after people have narrowed down on a few set of products.
Very interesting.
So now that we know a bit about how you can boost your conversion rate in the pre-purchase phase of the whole buyer journey, how you can have a solid logistics system backbone using smarter fulfillment and shipping. The next stage of the buyer's journey is, of course, the post-purchase experience, right? And here, the key goals that brands usually have is to maximize retention and as well as take up initiatives which end up in building, a loyal customer base, right? And for that, there are three things that are quite important. That one of those is providing stellar customer support after the purchase has been done, re-engaging the customers, providing, or opening new channels or modes of re-engaging them easily, as well as customer communication to be in constant touch with them, right, as a brand. So, so Aniket, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think are the most important attributes that brands can focus on to ensure that they are able to achieve all of the above in a seamless and easy fashion. And just a quick time check, it's 3:50 already, so I request the speakers to kind of summarily and in a brief manner kind of capture their insights.
Sure, I'll definitely keep it brief. If we talk about post-purchase experience, right, I have seen a very clear difference in mindset between brands. And I think the biggest difference which I have seen between good brands and the great brands, right, the brands that became category leaders, is how much they actually focus on their brand building and on their customer experience from day one itself. Right? They don't treat it as a necessarily evil. They see it as an opportunity to actually build a fan following and build a loyal base from which they will grow, from which they will continue to spread their word, and who will actually keep on coming back and supporting them for their existing products, for their new products, for any kind of thing that they do in their life, right? And the post-purchase experience, right? If you look at where that brand gets built, how it gets built, right? How it gets cemented in the customer's mind, the highest leverage place to build that is in the post-purchase journey. Now, how can you actually build a strong brand in the post-purchase experience, right? So the first step is actually being very open and transparent with the customer, right? If they have placed an order, just sending them a confirmation that I have gotten your order, right? Because some customers still have that fear in their mind that I have paid, I don't even know if it is going to come, right? Just giving them that reassurance that yeah, I have gotten your order. Then keeping them updated that hey, the order has been packaged, it is out for delivery, and like it is going to reach you in 2 days. And finally, like when it has actually reached them, being able to just telling them that oh hey, your order is reached, give us a rating, how was your experience, right? Or send engaging them even after the order has reached. If there is a face cream, right, this is how you can apply it, this is the right way, this is how other users have gotten good results out of it. So just be maintaining that engagement with the customer, that personalized engagement after they have bought. There are several opportunities to generate revenue here as well. So if you create a good experience, right, what happens is even when you are sending a message telling the customer that hey, your order is going to be out for delivery, if you just showcase one product, right, which is a frequently bought product over there, and as a small cross sell opportunity, what is very surprising is that if you give a good experience and create that confidence, around 2-3% of people just end up buying the product which you are recommending right there. Right. Again, when you are taking a feedback and if someone is giving a good feedback, if you just highlight some new offering that you have with a discount rate, again 2-3% of people just end up trying out that new thing as well, just because you have created that confidence and that good experience. The second thing which you have to do to build that strong experience is to handle all the queries and all the bad cases that are coming up with the customer, right, very very effectively. Now, typically what brands do is they make it very hard for the customer to even reach out to them. Typically, you have to go to a website, find the contact us section, then find the phone number or an email, call that phone number, wait in a queue for 1 hour, then get connected to an agent. That agent behaves rudely, doesn't offer a satisfying solution. He puts you on hold for 2 more hours, and by that time you're done. That is not the way to build a good customer experience. The first way is to make it very easy for the customer to reach out to you. So either you start a personalized channel with them, let us say on WhatsApp, right when they order, or make it very easy for them to go to your website and find a WhatsApp where they can kind of start a conversation with you. But once they have started that conversation, right, they will just go and ask you in free text, like, where is my order, right? When is it going to reach? Or I have received a damaged packet. What do I do, right? Or I want to return my product. And in that case, if you are able to engage them and give them an instant response and a very quick resolution, right? That customer is going to be a loyalist for life, even if that person has ended up getting a damaged product and just wants to return it. If you are able to stand out there in terms of experience, right, like that customer is going to come back and purchase from you and talk about it to all of their friends. And that is basically how we help brands build an experience. First of all, helping them send out that constant communication on WhatsApp, maybe creating opportunities for upsell and cross sell at a few places, but also handling all of these inbound queries and conversations across channels, right? Wherever a customer is reaching out, be it WhatsApp, Instagram, email, right? Just being there, being able to respond to at least the low hanging queries very quickly, and taking them to a resolution very fast. Or if it is a very complex query, highlighting it, making sure that an agent comes and is able to resolve it very quickly, just so that that brand, that image gets created in the customer's mind, that if I go to this brand, they are sure to take care of me. They are always there for me, right? They are going to resolve my queries within a minute, no matter what. So that kind of comfort leads to a very strong brand being built over time.
Right, right. Now, as you rightly mentioned, in this phase, of the buyer's journey, constant communication is really important, and accessibility to, communication channels that can help customers reach out to brands is quite important as well, right? And furthermore, you also mentioned that, revenue generation also can be, there are opportunities to generate revenue even in this phase of the buyer's journey, right? So essentially, customer engagement and communication become quite important. Now, Harsh, would you like to share your insights on what are some of the key strategies that brands can kind of easily implement to kind of get their customer re-engagement and communication initiatives going?
Yeah, so I can talk about once a parcel is outside the warehouse now. Now, what are the things a lot of the supply chain operators and the head of ops of the company would have to essentially make sure that the path of these parcels that are outside of the warehouse now reach the customer. There's bound to be escalations, and how do you resolve that promptly with the right information and with the right triggers? So I'll just quickly share my screen and demonstrate how that happens on VerIQ platform right now. So first starting with the basic hygienes. So one, notification and tracking links that go to the customer. So this is example of one of the companies where we send out the tracking links. The tracking links is branded. Brands have ability to put in their own logos over here. And also someone who bought this also bought that kind of placement onto the tracking link. These are like some very basic hygiene that we do. What we've also seen is tracking link typically in a timeline of a parcel, customers would click 3 to 4 times on an average. So if you are as a company doing 1,000 parcels a month, you are creating about 3 to 4,000 impressions just on the tracking link. I feel that that's like a good marketing channel that brands can also utilize. Just placing the campaigns, you click on it, gets directed to the product page, and you can have the transaction. It's like a free real estate that you're generating. That's like one thing that we do. Apart from that, basic triggers and choice of channels. Somebody like a SMS or an email or a WhatsApp, though those channel choice can be configured. So that's like just basic hygiene of keeping people updated. I think just doing this basic goes a long way. Talking about the supply chain operators and how do they run the business, and we have spent a lot of time around that. So we have a control tower tab over here, and we have seen customer operators will focus on 3 things primarily. One is the non-delivery reports. So parcels should have been delivered, but they are not delivered right now, and there are certain attempts being made. If there are 3 attempts being made, then it is going to be a RTO. So it's kind of a game that before the 3rd attempt happens, you have to do everything to get it delivered. And how to gamify this and how to solve for that is something I'll touch upon. One is the NDR block. Second is the high aging or the transit delays. And this is something you'll always have, no matter what choice of couriers that you're going to work with. There are going to be timelines where you need to solve for your transit delays. You essentially bucket this into high aging, low aging, and certain actions around that. I'll touch upon that. So that's like one control tower piece on how to act upon promptly on the delayed cases, because these are the people who are going to write a nasty post about you online. Then the third is the typical pickups, courier pickups, and they also go through some bit of meetings at different timelines, so how to optimize for that. So around these three buckets, I think some of our attendees of the webinar may also be spending a lot of their times around these three buckets. So first is the NDR cases. So this is a dummy data for a typical brand who currently in this timeline have 10 orders which are not delivered yet, are in the transit. For 9 of the cases, the actions are pending right now. For 1, the reattempt has been requested. So the problem is to make sure that these 9, most of them get delivered. So we break this down into reasons. And what we've seen is a lot of them are fairly data-backed reasons. Sorry, I'm trying to, yeah. So if you go to our India dashboard, we segment all the non-delivery reports by the reasons why they are not being attempted. And broadly, you will see reasons like customer has not picked up the phone call, or there is a fake attempt by the courier partner, or some of these cases where the customer is asking for a deferred delivery timeline. So these are like data-backed changes that can be done right onto a platform. So you go to the take action section. If there is an address issue, most common one is house number is missing or a PIN code is incorrect. The other common one is the phone number was incorrect. They put in the wrong digit somewhere, and the rep was not able to reach the customer. Or somebody saying that I'm not available over the weekend, attempt it on Monday, Tuesday, or something. So you can just make these data changes and put up a reattempt request. If you are able to make this, I think we will see fairly high improvement in that resolution of those open NDR cases, which we do it onto a platform. And there are certain other pieces also where we are also able to establish through IVR calls and WhatsApp text if the customer indeed was at home and courier is putting up a fake report on that they attempted but they were not at home. So for those cases, our last mile team comes in and resolve those cases. So control tower helps you run the operations fairly easily. There are no big Excel sheets, lookups, chain of follow-up emails on an order to order level, which you will not be able to scale as a company. You may be able to do it if the order volumes are low, but meeting your growth goals, you need a fairly strong control tower operations, which we have put together here. And similarly, for transit delays, we are able to intelligently identify even before delays happen, if there is something delayed into the transit also, and those trigger-based notifications, how they can solve. So these are like very basic hygiene pieces from a control tower where we try to optimize for any escalations that may come in once a parcel is outside of the warehouse. And one last thing which I'll cover and then take a pause is once a delivery is done, we also pop up a survey link which just asks customers for rating the quality of delivery. And once parcels delivered is when we are able to capture highest amount of responses. And once we have that, we get a pretty solid customer review tab. And we engage all of our brands to measure it, and we work very closely with them. So it essentially creates a NPS rating of the shipping experience. So how was your shipping experience? The good part is that the response rate is pretty high after the delivery is done. So we capture that at an overall level for this time frame, how your NPS out of 5 is looking like, how that is varying by days, and how is your NPS by different regions. So you may be taking a beating in South, but you're doing very solid in North, gives you some bit of action points. And one area where we work very closely with the CRM teams of our brands is you also get these ratings. And there's a box where customers put in the feedback. For this demo purposes, I've removed any feedback data. Here, the language is very colorful also. And sometimes when the rating is 1 star or so. But these are like the areas where you can filter out 1-star ratings and immediately get in touch with the customer. That what was the issue? Say packaging was bad, a product was leaking, delivery partner was rude, or there was any incident which were not so nice, which may blow up into a social media escalation. And so where if you're able to figure out the cases which were not good and just focus your energy onto that, we have seen brands radically improving their NPS. And it also acts as a good data point for us as a logistics company, that for these set of pin codes, while the data showed that the percentages numbers are pretty solid for a courier partner, but they are contributing to the highest 1 star to 2 star rating, and that we take it to the courier to resolve that. So these are like bunch of things that we do at the post shipping experience, and making sure that predominant of those experiences are happy, which in itself the repeat purchase will be an outcome of that. Yeah man, so that's all I had to cover.
Right. So, I mean, thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. Now that we have covered, what are the basic hygiene pieces that brands need to be aware of, especially in this stage of the buyer's journey, there's still certain, critical aspects that in this particular stage of buyer's journey, brands usually miss out on, right? So, Priya, I just wanted to kind of engage with you on that. Any suggestions on what brands should proactively be doing? Any suggestions with regards to, what they're basically missing out on in this stage of the journey that they can easily do?
When you say this stage, you mean post-purchase?
Yes.
I think both Aniket as well as Harsh covered it very exhaustively, that proactive communication and with the customer is the most important thing to deliver a really good experience. And honestly, there's a fair bit of uncertainty, right? Like when you are ordering, that's why you would see a lot of brands order from COD payment method, because they lack trust on new brands. So as a new brand, if you're able to reach out to them through tools like Line Chat and are able to deliver products faster through WhereIQ, you are able to reduce that period where the customer is uncertain whether this parcel will come or not. More importantly, I think it is also good for business, right? Like if we are able to create a great experience here, RTO, which is one of the biggest costs that you face, obviously reduces significantly. At the same time, a great experience means that they are up for buying from you again. And honestly, that's where again we focus, right? Like where you as a brand will rarely make money on the first order. You have to be able to engage the customer and get them back to purchase from you repeatedly. And honestly, that's when you've created a brand, right? Like if you were only selling everyone once, that means that you are probably finding people who are experimental. But once you are able to sell them again and again, it's really when you've created a brand. So I think that's where us solving the repeat experience or the consumer experience on the website, Aniket solving for just everything related to questions and queries that a customer would have, and faster delivery by WhereIQ work together really well to increase the LTV, long-term value that you can derive from every customer.
So that basically brings us to the end of today's discussion. We would now be open to questions from the audience members. I think we have already received a few questions which speakers have, kind of answered them through a written answer in the Q&A box. However, if attendees have any other questions, they can drop it in the Q&A chat window, and the speakers can take it up.
Yeah, I think since we are already over time, what we can do is so any of the questions, if they're not live right now, maybe we can take it offline individually also. So yeah, I think
Sure, that works as well. So to the attendees, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us and we'll direct your questions to the relevant speakers. Right?
Perfect.
Thanks a lot for joining us today. And I'd like to extend a note of gratitude to the speakers again for joining us and sharing their insights on the topic of today's discussion. I hope the attendees found the session to be insightful and quite engaging. Thanks a lot for joining again, and have a good day.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.